Hey there, and welcome back to the mini weekend. I'm your host, Jack. Let's get into it, mini. Drink of the podcast. Wow, I didn't think I was gonna like this, but it's got a nice little it's got a nice kick to it. So tonight we are going with the White Claw non-alcoholic zero proof drink with 15 calories and 3 hydrating electrolytes. They've rebranded them just a little bit. So a little backstory. This is only the second time I've ever had these. I got the White Claw. I can't remember if they were just calling them non-alcoholic drinks or zero proof last summer. Got a variety pack and really loved them. Brought them up to the cabin and then didn't get them again until I went to the store recently and was like, hey, it looks like they look a little bit different this time and we got to have them on the podcast. So yes, we've had these before, but it has been a minute. I didn't think that coming into this podcast. I kind of thought between the flavors I have had, peach was my least favorite. But I gotta say, I think there's something about this orange blossom that's giving it a really nice kind of fruity or like tropical aftertaste. Finally, a refreshing tasting non-alcoholic adult drink that looks as great as it tastes. Flavor is just like a ripe peach picked right off a tree with a hint of floral orange blossom, creating an amazing, uniquely refreshing sensation like no other. And that's what it is. And this is really, really good. Wow, very good. Their black cherry and their lime have always been the top of the line for me. But I was going to say, like, something like these, the flavor kind of dictates how I feel about it or like my rating for it more than anything, because that's the only differentiator between all of them. But man, I really do like this one. But before we close the podcast up and give it our rating, I want to give a quick story for you guys that just kind of bringing home the whole non-alcoholic thing. So I kid you not, if you're looking to cut out drinking for the summer, if you're looking to cut out drinking for the calories, the carbs, you just don't like how you feel after you have alcohol, stuff like that, I have a quick story for you. So like I said, last year I got a 12-pack of these non-alcoholic White Claws, brought them up to the cabin with my family. And when I got them, had no idea that they even made them. So I was like, I gotta get them this first time. I don't want to miss them if it's a limited time thing. I went up to the cabin and I had tried one and I was so surprised. I thought it tasted amazing and I was like, I can't wait to have these. Fast forward about a day. I have a younger sister, younger brother, who, are light drinkers, but I was telling them about them before we even got them out, and I told my sister, I was like, they're actually really good. You should try one if you want one. I gave one to her, who, she likes some of these drinks like I do, and I gave one to her, and I, honest to God, heard her tell me, she's like, she took like she drank half of it, like sipping on it, and she's like, are you, like, she was looking at the bottle, like, are you sure there's no alcohol in this? I'm like, no, exactly. Like, there's no alcohol in it. She goes, it literally tastes like a White Claw. So, again, if you're somebody who maybe struggles with drinking, anything like that, and you're looking to cut stuff out, this is a fantastic replacement. Very good. You can bring something that, like, around, and some of the other non-alcoholic and some of the other things we do, you can carry around. So it gives off that appearance that maybe you are drinking when you're not, and it alleviates some of those questions. So go check them out. whiteclaw.com. I really like this. I really like it. I'm gonna go 8. I'm gonna go 8-1. Really like it. One of my top favorite peach flavored drinks. Like I said, whiteclaw.com. You can actually go and click on their different stuff that they have. You can actually click on the White Claw Zero, and it'll show you where you can get them. You can get them via online, via DoorDash, Hy-Vee, Instacart, or you can go in store and it'll show you all the different places you can get them, which is super cool. And just like we always let you guys know, they are available on Facebook, Instagram, and X. So yeah, if you've tried other flavors, let us know what other flavors we should have, and if there's other non-alcoholic drinks you think we should try on here, don't be afraid to reach out. And then just like the last couple of times, like I said, kind of in that weird holding pattern here with college sports. Really quick Tommie Town edition for you guys this week. Back on Thursday the 5th, the day after the last podcast, it was announced that St. Thomas was going to host for the women's hockey the 2026 Quick Trip WCHA final face-off. with the Lee and Penny Anderson Arena will host the 2026 Quick Trip WCHA Final Faceoff. And that'll take place between March 5th and 7th. And WCHA Commissioner Michelle McAteer had this to say about it. We are excited for the best of the WCHA to be showcased at the brand new state-of-the-art Lee and Penny Anderson Arena in 2026 at the University of St. Thomas campus. The staff from St. Thomas is committed to providing a first-class experience for our student athletes and fans. The faculty will soon be one of the most impressive in college hockey, and this event will help put it on the map. The 2026 WCHA postseason will begin on February 27th. The 4 winners of the best 3 first-round series will advance to the Premier Conference Tournament in the Women's Collegiate Ice Hockey in the 2026 Quick Trip Final Face-Off, and then the winner of that will receive an automatic bid to the NCAA Women's Hockey Ice Championship, often in the WCHA, UMD, the University of Minnesota, Ohio, Wisconsin are usually ranked top. So even if you're one of those 4 teams and you're ranked at the top, even if you don't win it, they're more than likely going to go. And with that, this annual event will be hosted by St. Thomas for the first time in league history. Since its inaugural event, the tournament has been held in Rochester, Blaine, Grand Forks, Minneapolis, Duluth, and Bemidji. And it is crazy because all from now until 2000, there have been 4 teams that have won the WCHA: the University of Minnesota, University of Wisconsin, Ohio State, and you guessed it, UMD Duluth. So hopefully, the women's team, they're going to have a tall task on their hands to overcome all of those really good teams and make some noise. But one of these years they're going to be able to do it, and it's going to be a great thing to watch, and it's going to be amazing to see them finally get over that hump. So that is the only news that we had this week for Tommie Town. All right, now welcome back to Mini Weekend Bets. So this week for Mini Weekend Bets, a quick recap from last week. We had our first losing week in over a month. We went 1-2. The Pacers Thunder game 1 to go over 230.5 points did not hit. There was approximately 220, so super freaking close, but no cigar. Our lone win was the Pacers plus 9.5. They actually won outright in that game 1, 111-110, with a huge clutch bucket from Tyrese Halliburton. And then our Twins moneyline pick minus 196. They got absolutely clobbered by the Athletics. Couldn't see that coming, 16-4, which now puts us at 14-10 all time, still hitting above 500, 58.3% to be exact. But like anything, we bounce back and we're ready to get back at it this week on June 11th. So with that, the first pick that we have for you guys is the Oilers and Panthers game 4 happening tonight, Thursday, June 12th. The first one in game 4, over under a line is set at 6.5 goals. And let's just be frank with you guys, the over has hit in all of the first 3 games of the series, and I see zero reason why it's not going to hit in this game 4, especially with it set at 6.5. I'm honest to God surprised it's not 7 or 8. Like I said, I personally can't believe it's higher. First game saw 7, the second game saw 9, and then this last one saw 7-2 as well. Excuse me. Both these teams have been playing kind of wide open style of hockey through the first 3 games. They're combining for 6.18 expected goals per 60 minutes of play. And these 2 teams have also been creating plenty of high danger scoring chances as well, combining for 23.99 high danger scoring chances per game after I looked into it. And the last thing kind of looking at this pick for me was Oilers goalie Stuart Skinner hasn't had the best stuff in this series so far. He was on fire in the last 2 rounds, but he hasn't really brought his A game against the Panthers, reporting just a 867 save percentage through the first 3 games. So like I said, let's sit back, relax, and watch this game hit over 6.5 points. And then I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. My second pick I'm pulling from this game 2 we're not going to dissect game 3, but there was so much that happened in that game and down the stretch that just showed me that not only are the Panthers just the better team, but I think they're the more disciplined team. And if there's anything you need in the playoffs or in the Stanley Cup Finals to win the whole thing, you need to be disciplined. So my second pick, I'm just going to take the Panthers money line straight up, minus 148 to win game 4, and put the Edmonton Oilers back up against the wall heading back into Edmonton. Like I said, I think the Florida Panthers third line is, I don't think there's a better third line in the entire NHL. Their depth is unmatched. They have goal scorers on all lines. Their defensemen are able to get up into the plays. There's no denying the amount of talent that the Edmonton Oilers have in the likes of Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid on their first 2 lines. But again, just like last year, I think you see I think you're already starting to see that the depth of the Florida Panthers is starting to get too much for this Edmonton Oilers team. And again, you saw it early in game 3. It's frustrating them. So I don't like that for the Oilers. So yeah, like I said, Panthers money line +1, take a 3-1 series lead heading back into Edmonton. And then I have 2 MLB bets for you guys this week. Unfortunately, no Twins bets. They're playing at noon today on the 12th. Usually around then is when I'm flirting with when I'm posting that kind of stuff. So didn't want to get too close to that. But the 2 picks that I do have for you guys, the first one is actually, excuse me, a 6:40 Central Time game between the St. Louis Cardinals in Milwaukee. And right now, their run total is set at 8. And I like the under in that one, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. Sonny Gray has been, the ex-Twin, has been playing outstanding, for the Cardinals this year with a 7-1 record and a 3.35 ERA. Additionally, both teams right now are just struggling to score runs as of late. So like I said, I really think this pitching matchup is going to come into play and really hold up and keep it a relatively low scoring game. So like I said, I like the under 8 runs in the Cardinals and Brewers game. And then the last one I actually like, it pains me to say a little bit because it's a AL Central team, but there's a surprising amount of people playing incredible baseball right now. And the last one I have is I'm taking the spread, the Detroit Lions -1.5 to beat the Baltimore Orioles. Tariq Skubal goes for the Tigers, and I think that's enough of an edge for me to back this one as one of the best teams in the American League right now to cover this run line. I don't necessarily, Baltimore has been kind of streaky, really good, really bad, but if nothing else, I think Skubal's going to do a good job of keeping runs off the board for the Baltimore Orioles. Doesn't necessarily mean I think this is going to be a blowout, but I think Detroit should win by at least 2 or 3 runs. So that's what I got for you guys this week. Oilers, Panthers to hit over 6.5 goals in game 4. Panthers money line -148 to win game 4. Cardinals and Brewers to hit under 8 runs. And then the Detroit Tigers -1.5 against the spread to beat the Baltimore Orioles. And the last thing I will say before we move on from this segment that everybody loves, I am not a financial advisor, so please bet responsibly and carefully. I am not liable for any losses, just like I'm not going to come after you guys for any wins. If you have any gambling problems, call 1-800-GAMBLING. And like I said, do with these picks what you will, and have some fun. Next up, our good friends at UNRL, once again sporting our very comfortable and amazing athleisure wear for the podcast. Tonight, I have on my Elevation hoodie. It's green, but if you look on the website, it's technically the eucalyptus color. And I really love this sweatshirt. Like I said, it's a hoodie. The side pockets are zip up, zip down, which is really cool. I really like that about this hoodie. It's thin, so you're able to wear, a little bit of a thicker layer underneath it if you like, but it's also thin enough that you can wear it like a t-shirt like I am right now, and feel insulated and not feel naked, for lack of better words. And then the hat that we got going on tonight is their Crossroads Snapback, and it's the Touring black color. Like I said, once again, crosses in the back, making it breathable. Snapback. Obviously, you got the little UNRL little banner that I love. And then actually, you can't see it because I'm behind a bar, but I'm actually sporting right now my elevation shorts. So I have the matching shorts that match this sweatshirt, the eucalyptus color. And I can't say enough about these shorts. I wear these out and about, hanging out with friends. As weird it may sound, wear them to bed. I wear them around the house. I wear them doing projects. I wear them running, working out, anything like that. Some very comfortable clothing. Like I said, I can't harp on this enough. If you guys are into athleisure, if you guys just need it, are looking for something different for a sweatshirt, sweatpants, shorts, anything like that, look no further than UNRL.com. They will hook you up. Once again, I'm going to start doing a better job. I will put a link in the bio of the YouTube page in each video, and if you click on that URL or go to it, you get $15 off your order, and you'll send $15 my way off of my next order as well. But yeah, if nothing else, show them some love or go check them out. You can find them on all social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X, and additionally UNRL.com. You can find out all about their collaborations, their new things coming up. And one of the other reasons I wanted to bring them up too is because they have a collab coming up with the Minnesota Twins. So they're dropping, just like what they do with the Vikings, the Wild, and the Timberwolves, they're dropping, it says right here, the Hometown Collection. UNRL and the Minnesota Twins have teamed up for a limited edition collection, releasing in 3 drops throughout the 2025 season. Drop number 1 goes live this Monday, June 16th at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, exclusively at UNRL.com. Limited units will also be available on 6/20 at Gate 34 Marketplace inside Target Field. Game tickets are required and quantities are extremely limited, so don't miss your chance. And if you want to get a good look at what's about to drop, you can join their UNRL insider list and be the first to know when drops go live, get access to exclusive updates and sneak peeks and all that fun stuff. So like I said, UNRL.com, go light up their social medias and you won't be disappointed. That's a mini weekend guarantee. So yeah, that's what we got for you guys for UNRL. Then next up, like I had mentioned, I think Edmonton Oilers, as far as this series is concerned, the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. Sorry, before I get too much into that, no new news on the Minnesota Wild. 4 weeks will be the week after 4th of July, and that's when things will start kind of coming up, and as far as draft, free agent signings, trades, all that kind of stuff happening. So nothing in terms of the Wild, but I don't know about you guys, but after their game 3 loss and how they lost that, I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. I think they're cooked. Not only did they lose 6-1, and their only shining moment was only being down 1-2 early in the second period, but they had 85 penalty minutes to the Florida Panthers 55 penalty minutes. The Florida Panthers were able to cash in on 3 power play opportunities to Edmonton's 1. That clearly was one of the big deciding factors in that game. But yeah, it seemed like anytime, because we can go back and look at it too. They were up 4-1, with all momentum and everything like that at the 7-minute and 26 mark in the second period. And then they scored very early in the third period to make it a 5-1 game. And I think the Edmonton Oilers, Vander Kane, and a bunch of those other guys not named Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl really started to get deflated. And really, by the time you got to middle of that third period, you almost felt like the Panthers were almost up 10 goals or 8 goals or something like that with how Edmonton was playing. They weren't disciplined at all. I think should they come out and play like they did towards the end of that game in Game 4, I think the Panthers are going to gentleman sweep them. I don't think that's going to happen. Hopefully the Oilers can, get another game in here, just not in Game 4 because we picked the Panthers to win Game 4. But yeah, it's going to be tricky and it's going to be tough for a game like that for them to get back into the thick of things, and really make some noise. I can't stress this enough. I even look up and down rosters, and I think, their points that they have from everybody is eminent as to, what their depth looks like. You look at the Edmonton Oilers, and Connor McDavid has 6 goals, 31 points. Leon Draisaitl, 10 goals, 29 points. And then after that, Evan Bouchard has 22 points, Nugent Hopkins 18, Perry 13, Vander Kane 12. So there's really a sizable drop-off between 2 and 3, especially 2 and 4 for that team. Goals, if you really think about it, are a little bit more across the board. But then if you go over to Florida and take a look at their stats, they're just getting points up and down the board. Sam Bennett, 14 goals, 20 points. Carter Verhaeghe, 7 goals, 19 points. Brad Marchand, 8 goals, 18 points. Matthew Tkachuk, 5 goals, 18 points. Alexander Barkov, 6 goals, 17 points. Luce Katarian, 4 and 16. Anton Lundell, 5 and 15. Reinhart, 5 and 15. Evan Rodriguez, 2 and 15. Nate Schmidt, 3 and 12. Aaron Ekblad, 4 and 12. And Seth Jones with 4 and 9. Now, some of those guys were defensemen, but I think that just really goes to show you just how deep and well balanced this team is. And if they keep trending on this way, I think this series is going to be done in either 5 or 6 games, and it's going to be solely dependent on how the Oilers come out into Game 4, and hopefully, like that series on Amazon Prime, hopefully Connor McDavid lights a fire under these guys' asses. Excuse me. Yes, that is what we have for you guys for hockey related subject. And then looking at the NBA, so no new news, again very similar to the NHL on our Minnesota Timberwolves, but it's pretty funny. So, as much of you guys know, Tom Thibodeau has been fired as the head coach from the New York Knicks. And the New York Knicks, it seems like frantically, but are already trying to get interviews and trying to get people lined up and see what they want to do. And I read a couple days ago that the New York Knicks reached out to the Minnesota Timberwolves to interview Chris Finch, and we denied them to at least interview with him. And it kind of got to me thinking, because I haven't heard of that a ton before. I have heard of sports, then certain coaches having to be like, hey, can we interview them? And most of the time, especially in the NFL, they're like, yep, sure, fine, whatever. But I guess technically speaking, and it applies in everywhere, if said coach is currently under contract, which means currently under contract for at least the next year, you technically have to ask for permission from their team. So let's say this was Chris Finch's final year of his contract. New York would just say, Chris Finch, are you interested in having an interview? And if he wanted to, he'd go. If he didn't, he wouldn't go. But the New York Knicks are going to have a heck of a time because they have apparently been denied by not only us, but they've been denied being able to interview Ime Udoka, the head coach of the Houston Rockets, and Jason Kidd, the head coach of the Mavericks. It'll be interesting to see, a team that made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in what they say 25 years, something like that. It'll be interesting to see how this team is able to respond in 2025, 2026, with potentially not a top of the line or big name coach next season. So we're just going to have to wait and see on that. And then Another thing I thought I would bring up too, it's heating up. There are trade talks and everything for Kevin Durant and for some of these guys in the league that want to be dealt. It's heating up. And I actually heard that Kevin Durant, so I might have been wrong. I can't remember if I said it last week or 2 weeks ago, but Kevin Durant does not have a no trade clause. So these Suns are free to do what they want, but with the reputation Kevin Durant has, I'm inclined to think that as much as the Phoenix Suns are wanting to get what they want and wanting to get the best deal for themselves, they will probably consult him and say, hey, we're looking at these 3 options, these 2 options. What are your thoughts? Because he has that reputation around the league and he's, one of the best players in basketball too. But if there's one thing that we already know about this possible trade of getting Kevin Durant is that it's not going to be straight up between us and them. We're both second apron teams, which means we cannot take on more contracts than we are sending out. I saw somebody I follow on Twitter sent this out, and they said, stupidly good package if you're Minnesota, but losing TJ would hurt. So let me put you through this. For the Timberwolves getting Kevin Durant, the Nets would get Gary Harris and the 46th pick in the draft from the from the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic from us would get Dante DiVincenzo. And then the Phoenix Suns would get Julius Randle, Mike Conley, Goga Bitadze, who I think is from the Nets, and then the 25th pick, I believe, in this year's draft or from somebody. And if I'm being completely honest, the only thing about this trade that I am not crazy about is sending off Terrence Shannon Jr. It would, to this guy's point, it would suck to lose him. But making this trade knowing that we're retaining Rob Dillingham, we still have Jade McDaniels, we still have Rudy Gobert. I would almost more likely try to give them a Rudy Gobert over Terrence Shannon Jr. or maybe over Julius Randle, because I think if Finch is being honest with himself, I think you have to move on. I think you want to try to get Kevin Durant, but I think the perfect offseason for us, if there's just 2 things you do, I think it's you have to move off of Rudy Gobert and you have to acquire Kevin Durant. I just think Rudy Gobert, as far as big men are concerned, he's kind of at the peak of his mountain, and they fall off the mountain so quickly. You're able to get a good amount of picks or ties from him that you'd want. So I would love not only for us to see us get Kevin Durant, but I would love to see us get off of Rudy Gobert's contract and get off of him. Because he is getting up there in age and he could eventually start to decline as early as next year as well. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. What are your thoughts on this trade package, and would you go forward with this if you were the GMs? Yeah, and it's really weird that the NHL Stanley Cup Finals and the NBA Finals both find themselves in pretty much the exact same position, where they are 3 games in, the underdog team is up 2-1 and putting the favorites in must-win situations. Because I don't care who you are, I don't care what you say, the 2016 led Cavaliers by LeBron James are the anomaly. It is very hard at the highest level of hockey or at the highest level of basketball to win 3 straight games. It's very hard to win 2 straight games to force a game 7, let alone 3 straight games to win the entire thing. So as good as the Oklahoma City Thunder are, as a Minnesota fan, it pains me to say, but again, you have to give credit when credit's due. They beat us. They made us look like we really had no business being in the Western Conference Finals, despite how good we are or we can be. But yeah, they obviously, I think the biggest thing they have to do coming into Game 4 to force to bring the series back even is they gotta take care of the ball better. That was like the one game that they really didn't take care of the ball great. But SGA has got to just get more rhythm. He's got to get more confidence in himself. I think one of the things, despite how close this game was, one of the things that Indiana did that really threw SGA off his confidence and off his shot and everything like that, I think they I heard Doris or Richard Jefferson, they threw like 8 or 9 different guys at him at different spots in the game. And all of them showed that, hey, we can play your tendencies, we can block your shot, make you feel uncomfortable. So, after that, they'll definitely make an adjustments. But I think to open opportunities up for himself, he's got to be more of a playmaker in game 4, personally. And yeah, I think, very, very, very similar. I think if Benedict Mathurin can come off, this guy came off of the bench for them and dropped 27 points on 9 of 12 shooting with 7 free throws. If he's able to come close to replicating that, it's going to be a tough go for the Oklahoma City Thunder, because Indiana, quite frankly, beat them at their own game. They were both going back and forth very fastly, but yeah, I'm excited to see how this goes. I'm hoping, obviously, you guys know me. I always like to be right, and I always like to win money. So deep down, I ultimately hope Indiana wins this year, wins the title, and I hope the Panthers win the title. But if there's one thing I know as a sports fan, is you always want it to be a series, and you always want it to be close. So I would love for the Thunder and the Edmonton Oilers to come back and make it a series, and make it a best of 3 now. But we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. The Pacers and Oklahoma City Thunder will have only a day off before Game 4 in Indiana, and then regardless of what happens in Game 4, they'll have 2 days off, Saturday and Sunday, before playing Game 5 on Monday in Indiana. So yeah, that is what I have for you guys, kind of dissecting that. A couple days ago, somebody sat down with Adam Silver, and he said that the owners are actively talking about the expansion. I don't really know what that looks like. A lot of people are saying it won't happen for at least 2 to 4 years. So with that, I thought it would be really fun. I'm going to kind of take a step over here so I can put my little graphic up for you guys here too. And that'd be really cool, because as soon as I saw that, I was like, hell yeah, that would be super sweet. And I am going to give my top 5 to you guys on where expansion teams should go. How my top 5 is going to work on factoring in 2 things: how likely that place is to happen and get a team, and 2, what I would actually like to see. And those 2 things are both kind of, different. So I think you guys will be maybe a little bit surprised with 3, 4, and 5, but probably not 1 and 2. And this is 1 being the most likely to happen, 5 being the least likely to happen. So I have 2 teams in my honorable mention, and truthfully, I have 2 teams I'm about to put up, because these 2 teams I don't really see them happening, and I will tell you why. The first one in Nashville, Tennessee. It's a big tourist destination. I think it's pretty fun. I think you see a lot of young people. I think one of the things the NBA is looking at is trying to expand into younger cities, and that's kind of why I like it. And it helps that they already have a professional hockey team, Nashville does, so that they can share arenas. However, the problem for the Music City, Nashville, if you will, is that population isn't super big. It's a lot of tourism, but the main reason is the Memphis Grizzlies are located under 230 miles away. So I'm sure Tennessee would not be super thrilled about sharing the market size of 2 teams, especially with how big or how small Tennessee is. My second honorable mention is Louisville, Kentucky. So the thing I love about this is this region is basketball crazy. You got the Wildcats, you got Louisville Cardinals. They love their basketball, especially college basketball. And they were a city that was actually home to the ABA's Kentucky Colonels in the 60s and 70s. And a new team in the state would serve as a huge local need, but very similar to Nashville. Louisville is, other than the college part of it, just isn't populated enough or young enough that the NBA would want to There's a chance it might happen in the future, but in this next expansion, not at all. Not at all. So, needless to say, now we are going to get into my actual 5. So, coming in at number 5 is Kansas City, Missouri. Like the nearby city of St. Louis, Kansas City, they used to have an NBA team, the Kansas City Kings, before they relocated out west to Sacramento. And I think it's a pretty big market. I think because of the Chiefs, you're seeing a lot of people gravitating to the Midwest, kind of lower Midwest. Plus, one of the things I think the NBA and myself would really like to see, I get from kind of doing some of this research, is seeing more teams in the Western Conference. However, it's difficult unless you're going to put a couple more teams in California, or unless you're going to, other than that, it's, are you going to put one in North Dakota? Are you going to put one in Montana? Are you going to put one in Idaho? Like, you're probably not. So there's just your opportunities are limited on the western part of the U.S., which I feel, and I think this would be a good opportunity for the to get into more of that middle of the U.S. So that is what I have at 5. Number 4, Vancouver, is it British Columbia? Yes, Vancouver, British Columbia. For those that maybe don't know, this team was actually once home to an NBA franchise. They were the Vancouver Grizzlies before they became the Memphis Grizzlies. And if another city gets on this list, I think setting up the Pacific Corridor would be really cool. I think Vancouver is a favorite city among NBA players. The Raptors have shown a team outside the USA can win a title and be good. Plus, I think we're seeing a lot of really good players from Canada coming into the league too, and could share an arena with the NHL's Vancouver Canucks. It seems like a win-win. I think this is a real chance that this happens in the next 5 to 10 years. Doing so, I think, would give Canada a second team. Montreal is not on my list, but I went back and forth between Montreal and Vancouver, and ultimately, I would like to see Vancouver a little bit more, and I think the NBA would rather have Vancouver over Montreal, simply from the fact that you would have one Canadian team. If your goal is to get more teams in Canada, great. But I think starting off with one Western Canadian team and one Eastern Canadian team is kind of, okay, you have one on each side, rather than, I think if you had a Montreal team and a Toronto team, the rivalry would be there because you're super close too. But I think the idea of having a team on each side of the country would make for better marketing personally. So I got them at number 4. Excuse me. Number 3. Come on. Where'd you guys go? Number 3 on my list. Mexico City. Now we're getting into, I think, these next 3 teams are a shoo-in for when it inevitably happens. Whether, I think it's going to be 4 teams. I think the next expansion, I think is going to be 4 teams. I'm not for certain Vancouver, but these next 3 teams, I am almost positive I would put money on it now that they will get one in the next expansion. But let's just cut the BS here. Mexico City has been hosting preseason and regular season games since the 1990s. It already has a popular G League team down there. It's a huge sports crazed population. It's a young population, which the NBA is after, like Canada. And like that, there would be some time zone issues, which isn't ideal. But having a team in Mexico along with US and Canada would be very appealing and add some kind of rival like the NFL or the MLB just can't say. Like, I really like this idea, and truthfully, I think the NBA has given this idea some serious thought. Mexico City has to obviously prove that it can handle a team, and it's in the process of doing that with the G League. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it would be really cool to see Mexico City get a team. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Number 2 on my list. And like I said, these 2 you guys probably aren't going to be all that surprised at. Number 2 is Seattle. So Seattle lost the Supersonics. They're a team that they used to have back in 2007 and is one of the teams pinned for a team's return. If you ask the residents, they'll tell you the franchise was stolen by Oklahoma City and former Commissioner David Stern. Even guys like Jamal Crawford and old NBA heads talk about Seattle needing to get their team back. And yeah, like I said, I think with all the tech money up there, with the fan base, I think it works out perfectly. The Seattle Kraken just became an NHL team up there. I think it's set up perfectly that I'm positive that the team that bought the Kraken and did all that stuff is open about wanting a basketball team there. They just built a really nice arena within the last couple of years that would definitely be able to host both of them, and will be super fun to see another the Supersonics come back. And then, without further ado, I'm sure nobody is surprised by this one, but number one is Las Vegas, Nevada. This is, in my opinion, nothing but a certainty. Again, I would put serious money that they're going to be probably the first team, not just in the next expansion, but the first team in the next expansion to be mentioned. Not to mention, I wrote this down too because I remembered this today, not to mention the fact that LeBron James has already stated he wants to one day own a team in Sin City. Vegas is already the epicenter of sports gambling. They have the NHL Vegas Golden Knights. They have the Vegas Raiders, and then the Vegas Athletics are coming there. Of course, the WNBA has a team there, and the Aces. And if that's not enough, there's already preseason games, summer league games, and the in-season tournaments that's being played in Las Vegas. So this is all but going to happen. Like I said, at this point for Vegas and Seattle, it's more or less, okay, when is this going to happen, and are we going to be the only two, or who are the other two teams going to be? So yeah, what do you guys think of this list? Is there a location you think I missed, or is there a location you would rather see? Let me know. And then lastly, not a ton of new news on the Minnesota Vikings. This last week, we re-signed tight end Josh Oliver to a 3-year, $23.25 million contract extension. Exciting to see him back. Don't know that he's worth all that money. Then again, what do I know? There's a reason I'm not in the front office. But yeah, I wanted to bring that to light. And then I know for those of you that follow me on TikTok, I made a sports update video within the last week talking about Aaron Rodgers, but I didn't talk about that enough as I wanted to. So I wanted to dissect that a little bit here. So for those that maybe didn't see it, or for those that don't know, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers announced that they signed a contract and he was going to be coming back for, I think it's his 23rd season in the NFL, which is exciting. But again, like in my video I put on TikTok, I don't know why so many people were surprised. Aaron Rodgers at the beginning of last year was very open about wanting to play another season and wanting to be a starting quarterback. And once some of these teams showed interest in him, and then after it went on with the Pittsburgh Steelers being the only team interested in him, it was just a matter of time. And he clearly just wanted time to be able to do what he wanted to do, get married, all that kind of stuff. But it poses an interesting point because, like I mentioned in the video too, I think this team is set up worse and talent-wise has less talent. Sure, you have DK Metcalf, but other than that, there's not a ton of talented key position players on this team. But the one thing that Aaron Rodgers has going for him with this Steelers team is, outside of the AFC North, a pretty winnable schedule. So obviously, I look at games like Cincinnati. Cincinnati's going to be a dogfight, and Baltimore is going to be big games. And say what you want about Cleveland, that team is always coming to play, and they always play a hard-nosed defense. But those are two games that they should be able to win. Seattle, I really don't think is going to be that great of a team this upcoming year. New England really isn't that great of a team. We play them, so that'll be a tough game for them. Green Bay isn't going to be a walk in the park. Los Angeles Chargers. No, sorry, I was rattling out. So, like I said, they got to play the New York Jets, which in that game, it could come down to which quarterback's going to play better. So they could win that game. But Seattle, New England, 2 Cleveland games, Indianapolis, Chicago, They got to play Buffalo, Miami. I mean, that's 7 games right there that they should win. Then if you can steal a win from, maybe New York, or maybe you steal one game from the Ravens or from Detroit or Buffalo, or God forbid us, he can at least compete for a playoff spot. It's not going to be easy. He's still got, I look at teams that are better than them. I think on paper we have better talent on our team. I think Cincinnati is a better team than them. I think Baltimore is a better team than them. I think the Chargers, that's not going to be an easy game. Buffalo, that's not going to be an easy game. And Detroit, that's not going to be an easy game. So again, that's 8 games right there. So that leaves 1 game, which I'm pretty sure I'm leaving out the Jets team. So again, this is going to be an opportunity for him where it's going to show, all right, like, are you falling off a cliff? Because I think anything less than a playoff appearance this year, this is his last year. And again, as a Minnesota sports fan, with how talented this guy is, it would really suck to see him go off into the sunset, just beat down like this. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. We are slowly creeping up. We're less than 3 months away from the start of the season. Incredibly crazy to me, but it's going to be a fun time. And then, before I let you guys go, make sure you click the subscribe button and the notification button on YouTube so you get notified of the new episodes as soon as they come out. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X, and make sure you hit that subscribe button on wherever you listen to the podcast so you get notified of the new episodes. And as always, till next time, Manny.